Tonight on CTV News, opposition to the City Council's proposed asset sales, a cycle share scheme gets the tick of approval, and the football pitches are ready for kick-off.
Broadcasting across Canterbury, from the CTV studio, this is First at 5.
Welcome to CTV News, I'm Marcus Gibbs. In just over 2 weeks, football fever will hit Christchurch. The Under-20 World Cup will take place across New Zealand, and Christchurch will play a significant role. 4 new training fields have been unveiled, finished just in time for the start of the tournament. Testing out the new pitch, up-and-coming footballers trying out one of 4 new fields that will soon be gifted to their club.
It looks absolutely amazing, and sitting back looking at 18 months ago and we're looking at the project plans and some pretty rough grounds here to see what we've got today. I mean, it's an absolutely perfect surface and FIFA are going to be blown away.
Brazil, Germany and Fiji are just 6 of the international teams who'll be playing group stage matches in Christchurch during the FIFA Under-20 World Cup. During the planning stages, it was decided Hamilton, Whangarei and Christchurch fields all needed upgrades before the tournament starts. Christchurch's Avonhead, Ferrymead, Linfield and Garrick Parks have all been fixed up and will be used by FIFA teams for pre-match preparation and training. Avonhead Park's revamped field costs $300,000 and altogether Christchurch's 4 cost just under $2 million to tidy up.
As I say, these will be here forever and will be here for future generations of Christchurch kids and first-class footballers to play on.
Dave can't wait to put Christchurch on the world stage once the FIFA teams move in.
These are world-class, there's no doubt about it. So, they're sand-based turfs, they're built by some of the best people in the world actually. New Zealand's got a really good reputation in turf management and so the teams will be blown away by these.
As the teams start to arrive, each of the 4 pitches will get busy.
And the bus will pull up, all the teams will pile out who are training here. There'll be volunteers here managing access, etc. And then you'll see them basically practicing all their moves and drills and all the stuff, and most teams practice every day and they'll tend to try and practice around the same time as their match is going to be played.
Things are starting to ramp up. This is no small event.
No, it's huge. It's a big event. It's $27 million budget. It's 7 venues. We've got 170 staff working on this around the country now. FIFA will bring in 280 people. Between the teams and management and support staff, there's going to be 1,000 people coming who are going to participate in the tournament. 500 international media. It's quite a big deal.
The hype's starting to build up really nicely, and they're looking to get some big crowds, and it's exciting for the young generation to come and see some exciting football.
When the international teams arrive, many football heroes will be in the city.
They all, started under 20s and they grow up and they end up being superstars. So they're all going to be here, and it's so exciting for football in general in New Zealand.
The former All-White and Wellington Phoenix player reflecting on how lucky this new generation of football fans really are.
For me, growing up when I was under 17s, we were just breaking into the scene, and we had nothing. Nowadays, these kids now, they got academies, professional teams they can strive for, and obviously to go to a World Cup is huge.
Once the tournament wraps up and the international teams fly home, these 4 new pitches will be used by the city's largest clubs. Altogether, about 140 teams will be playing across the pitches every week.
It's a genuine legacy of what we're left with following the FIFA tournament, so pretty exciting. Have a look at this pitch. I think it's, you can't help but look at this pitch and get excited about football. It's certainly one of the nicest pitches I've seen.
The tournament kicks off on the 30th of May, so get your New Zealand flag ready and prepare for a taste of football fever. Marcus Gibbs, CTV News. Don't sell the city's assets. That's the instruction from several ratepayers during the 3rd day of the draft long-term plan hearings. A Green List MP, a former Deputy Prime Minister and several concerned residents making sure they're heard by city councillors. A Green List MP in the council chambers delivering an important message. Eugenie Sage not supporting the possibility of asset sales.
We think the council is being quite hasty in proposing to sell $750 million of its assets in year 1 of the plan, given the considerable uncertainty about the council's financial position.
The Christchurch City Council has a massive financial black hole of $1.2 billion. Last year, council-owned companies provided $53 million of revenue to the council, helping to keep rates down. But to get back in the black, the City Council is seeking independent financial advice on a proposal to sell key assets to pay for the city rebuild. These assets include Christchurch International Airport, Orion and the Littleton Port Company. This proposal hasn't been sitting comfortably with Eugenie or many of the other submitters during the draft long-term plan hearings this week.
This is a doctrinaire approach and does not make economic sense for the people of Christchurch.
I do not support the selling of assets. This is short-sighted and better alternatives exist.
For short-term gain, we lose ownership and control of assets. And indeed, I just see the benefits of the assets we have leaking away from the city, away from the area, away from the country.
The asset portfolio of the council giving community ownership of our port and airport, our social housing, power and water networks is a vital component of the social fabric of our city.
It seems premature then to be selling assets to fund an ambitious capital spending program which the council itself admits that it doesn't know whether it can deliver on.
Today, Christchurch City Council has heard from former Deputy Prime Minister and Christchurch Cathedral rebuild advocate Jim Anderton. He too is against asset sales and hopes the council will listen to his advice.
I must say I've always thought that if selling assets was the answer, it must have been a stupid question.
He says in his experience, selling assets just doesn't work.
I watched two successive governments sell $19 billion of New Zealand assets and end up with more debt than they started with.
He says if the Christchurch City Council sells its assets, it will reduce its long-term economic capability and will reduce the city's ability to make future decisions about what sort of city it wants to be.
But it must take a long and not a short-term view for the future of the city.
Orion has returned more than $1.1 billion in dividends to this council and its other owners since 1999, an average of more than $60 million a year. But if the council was sold off, the city would no longer have this source of income.
Once assets are sold, they are hard, if not impossible, to get back. The dividends they return are not lost for 5 or 10 years, but in most cases, forever.
Anderton's solution is to delay some work and fund other work by increasing debt.
It's not an ideal situation, but it's pragmatic and it's the most sensible in my view.
Another one of his options is by issuing dedicated asset bonds. This way the dividends are lost for a few years, but the control of the asset will stay with the council. Marcus Gibbs, CTV News. Still to come, further innovation in Canterbury. Welcome back. Cycling came under the spotlight today during the draft long-term plan hearings this morning. A local group wants to see a Christchurch velodrome built for cycling enthusiasts in the city, while another group wants the council to support a plan for a bike share scheme. With tens of thousands of Cantabrians choosing cycling as their main form of transport to and from work, it's no surprise cycling safety was the focus of several groups speaking at the City Council today. To get more people on bikes, this group wants to see the ageing Denton Park velodrome given more than just a fresh lick of paint. Built for the Commonwealth Games in 1974, the Canterbury Cycling Development Trust would like to see it completely replaced.
Most people look at a velodrome, they think, it's 30 million. Well, we're not asking for an international class, we're asking for a regional level facility.
The Trust says there should be smarter ways of building to cut down on the cost, using Invercargill as an example.
In the middle, you've got 4 courts. That's 4 basketball courts. If you were to build a 4-court indoor facility, you'd probably say that's $10 million. To build the velodrome by itself is probably, you could do it for 12 to 15. So you've got 4 courts in the middle. All of a sudden, the opportunity cost to get a velodrome might only be $5 million, maybe 10.
Elsewhere in the city, the Canterbury Cycling Development Trust doesn't believe Christchurch is currently a safe place to cycle. Roundabouts in particular, more like a lottery than a safe way to travel when you're on a bike.
Most of the roundabouts, we were talking before, the roundabout by the airport, you take your life into your own hands. Tracy closes her eyes and goes through hard and hopes she gets through.
They say they're a barrier to get more people on bikes, as are the city's busy roads.
My wife's too scared to let our kids ride to Hagley Park. Which isn't great. You've got to go, Papanui Road, Beeley Ave.
One organisation that is hoping to get more tourists and local cycling is the Christchurch Bike Share Team. The innovators behind this scheme are hoping to get the Christchurch City Council thinking long term when it comes to investing in cycling.
It's going to take strong political support from within this room to advance it further.
Last year, a crowdfunding scheme was successful in raising more than $50,000 to set up a pilot, which will launch in the central city this July.
We're installing 5 stations on private land as part of a 2-year pilot. The first 30 minutes of every ride will be free, with an hour free for crowdfunding supporters. You can make multiple trips per day, and it's all about getting people exploring the inner city and trying the idea out.
But extending the scheme won't be cheap.
This is not a scalable model. We cannot simply increase to a citywide system from this without local government and public transport funding.
To extend the scheme to include up to 350 bikes within the 4 avenues, it would cost $2 million initially, then followed by annual costs of $500,000. However, Christchurch City Councillors seem supportive of the idea.
I've been a great supporter for a while, but to see it in action in New York, I'm absolutely convinced there has to be a way forward with it.
The team is excited to see how Canterbury takes advantage of the bike sharing trial over the following 2 years. Marcus Gibbs, CTV News. Well, the planned innovation precinct is a key anchor project of the city, but just what innovations are Canterbury businesses developing in the now? Headliners Warren Head explains.
Well, what's really happened 10 years back, we didn't have a thing called the internet. Now it's like the old railways of the past, and people can put their wagon on there and travel all sorts of places and take off. Just down the street from us, the High Tech Park in Burnside, a company called Jade, been there a long time now. They've got a new product, it's called Master Terminal, and this really helps you organise your port, parks the vessels, and they come in, does all the back end work. Very exciting stuff, big market there in management of port infrastructure around the world. So. Just going a little bit further from there, what have we got? We've got a Wynyard Technology, that's a software company helping police forces around the world find the villains, and we've talked about that in the past. It had out of town a little bit, and just recently we talked about Synlait Milk. Synlait Milk makes ingredients, takes the milk product, adds the value by producing the best ingredients in the world, puts a little logo mark on it. All the big brands around the world now want that as part of their product. So they don't sell brands, they sell the ingredient coming right out of Christchurch. Solid Right is a business which is making technology which tells you the road stud turns green the moment the air temperature changes and ice conditions are forming. Is it green or is it blue? I'll pass on that. But it turns on. And so it gives you a forward warning that there's black ice on the road. Now, that's an exciting product. Enstech is a very interesting business. It was the winner last year of the Technology Awards, won a Technology Award for its replacement instruments. It works with the orthopedics industry. It enables a smaller incision to be made alongside the edge of the knee, so it reduces the trauma from surgery for the patient's quadricep muscles. Very exciting business there. About 98% of their instruments are now exported to the world medical market, and that's an area that Christchurch could persevere with and develop further as we grow these businesses out. The other big hub in town, Mike, is the university. The university is just the most wonderful asset, and I do hope, that the Crown really funds it to a higher level, because it can create businesses like nobody else. It's got all the brain power. That's what universities can do, as well as teach you how to think. Their hub is the powerhouse. I've had recent relevant experience with a company which is called Global Aerial Platforms, based here in Christchurch. Took its first international UAV model, very wide wing model, off to the UAE earlier this year. Ran 6th in the world competition for drones for peace. And that was a very big international event, and they're getting a lot of interest attached to them at the moment as they commercialise their product, and they've got plans for a larger model which will be made out of state-of-the-art composites, which is another industry that Christchurch could become well known for going forward in terms of building airframes. We are going to populate this city not with giant corporations. We're going to populate it with small businesses in small spaces, starting out on maybe 4 desks per room, and grow them out from there. Now, SLI Systems started that way, and now it's employing hundreds of people and branches all around the planet.
Could offshore oil drilling become a reality? Exploration rights have been issued for areas that include Canterbury, and tomorrow at noon, as part of a global campaign, hundreds of protesters are expected to make their views known at New Brighton Beach. But will it make a difference?
So tomorrow Hands Across the Sand is occurring at New Brighton Beach. So Hands Across the Sand is an international event against fossil fuel extraction. So in New Zealand at the moment, the biggest issue around fossil fuel extraction for us is deep sea oil drilling. So tomorrow we're holding an event against deep sea oil drilling at New Brighton Beach. We're expecting between 100 to 200 people to turn up. This has got a focus off the South Island coastline, so in particular Dunedin and off the Otago Peninsula, where seismic testing has been recently occurring, which is one of the first stages in the process to deep sea oil drilling. So that's why we're focusing on that, because the process has already started, which is pretty scary, to be honest. I feel that if an oil spill was to occur in the short term, then oil could reach Canterbury beaches and negatively affect on our marine mammal sanctuaries and that sort of thing. In the long term, deep sea oil drilling is a contributor to climate change because it's producing fossil fuels that when you burn them, they release carbon dioxide. So climate change is an issue that in 50 years' time could be affecting all of us. So that's why it's important for Canterbury to understand, especially with all the flooding that's been happening and that sort of thing, more extreme and chaotic weather events could be incredibly bad for us. I'd like to debate that deep sea oil drilling does bring money into our economy because at the moment it's Statoil, which is an international corporation that are coming over to drill in our waters. So even though I think we earn a 5% of their profits, I feel that that's minimal compared to the amount of money we're putting in to get them to come over there. And this is our opportunity to tell the government and to tell the public that no, we aren't happy with deep sea oil drilling occurring off our coast, and it's time that we stopped it.
Still to come, the weekend sport preview and your region's weather. Welcome back. Do you have an idea that will improve Ashburton's biodiversity? $15,000 in grants has been offered to projects doing just this. Applications are open for a month from Monday. It provides for individuals or organisations helping to protect the biodiversity in the district. The council says the grants will cover up to 50% of a project's cost. And now here's Gordon with a preview of the weekend sport.
It's a big weekend in Hawkins Cup rugby with the annual Crying Towel match between Christchurch and Linwood, highlighting round 8 of the competition. The two sides will face off at Christchurch Park, with both teams battling for a top 6 finish to qualify for the Hawkins Trophy rounds. Christchurch currently sit in 4th spot on 22 points, while Linwood are back in 8th on 16. Other games see 9th placed High School Old Boys at home to 7th placed Burnside. 5th placed Marist Albion will look to consolidate their playoff spot when they host Sumner, while University, who are 3rd in the competition, will look to stay with the leaders when they travel to bottom of the table Belfast. Top of the table New Brighton travel to Sydenham, and 2nd place Lincoln University are at home to Shirley. The Canterbury Rams are back at Cal Stadium tonight after playing 5 of their last 6 games on the road. The Rams, who have 5 wins to go with 5 losses this year, will look to go on a run with their next 3 games all at Cal Stadium. After a slow start to his Rams career, former NBA player Jermaine Taylor is looking to impress in front of his new home crowd.
Anytime you're playing in the city that you're living in, and the city has been nothing but great to me. I've been getting a lot of love since I've been here. Guys on the team, Ethan's been taking me out. So, I just want to play good. I just want to do good and show everyone here how much I appreciate the love I've been getting.
Tonight's match against the Hawke's Bay Hawks gets underway at 7 p.m. The Mainland Tactics are in action on Sunday, with the side taking on the New South Wales Swifts in Sydney. The team are still looking for their first win in the comp, with a string of promising games not bringing the result, as they still look to put a full 60-minute performance together. Sunday's match gets underway just after 4 p.m. And finally tonight, the 4th round of the UC Championship is on this weekend, with CTV's feature match seeing Rangiora host Shirley Boys High. Rangiora will be hoping to get their first win of the competition, while Shirley will look to keep their perfect record alive. Kick-off is at 1 p.m. tomorrow, with coverage right here on CTV this Sunday at 12:30. You're up to date with the latest in local sport. I'm Gordon Findlater for CTV Sport.
Thanks, Gordon, and it's time now for your region's weather.
Good evening, Canterbury. Let's take a look at today's highs. Down in Timaru, you had a high of 10 today. Temuka and Geraldine, you also shared the region's low on 10 degrees. Methven and Ashburton, you were slightly warmer on 11. Rakaia, 11 degrees for you also. Darfield, Leeston and Rolleston, you had a high of 11 for your Friday. Christchurch, you were slightly warmer on 12 degrees. Over in Akaroa, 11 degrees for you.
So what are you doing on Friday?
Rangiora, Kaiapoi and Amberley all shared 11 degrees.
Do you get a break?
Taking a look inland, Culverden, Hamner Springs and Cheviot, 11 degrees for you. Kaikoura took the region's high today with 13 degrees. Now to tomorrow's temperatures. Timaru, mostly cloudy and cold with a risk of 1 or 2 brief showers, fresh southwesterly winds. Tonight's low 5, tomorrow's high 11 degrees.
For whatever reason.
Ashburton, cold and overcast with a breezy sou'wester for your Saturday. Tonight's low 5, tomorrow's high 11.
You don't mean it when you hurt me, and if you loved me. For whatever reason.
To the Garden City now. A few morning showers possible, but mostly dry with plenty of cloud and plenty of southwest breeze. Tonight's low 5, tomorrow's high 11. Kaikoura, showers at first, clearing with strong cold winds easing slowly. Tonight's low 5, tomorrow's high 11 degrees.
It's always nice to see you.
In other areas around the region now, expect a cool and cloudy day. Temuka and Geraldine, a high of 11 for you. Methven and Rakaia, you can also expect 11 degrees. Darfield, Leeston and Rolleston, a similar picture for all of you, 11 degrees. Looking at Lincoln, a high of 11 for your Saturday. Over in Akaroa, 11 degrees for you. Rangiora, Kaiapoi and Amberley, you can all expect a high of 11. Up north in Culverden, Hamner Springs and Cheviot, a high of 11 for you also.
You don't mean it when you hurt me, and if you love.
Looking ahead for Canterbury, cloudy at first on Sunday, but sunny periods increasing later with cold southwesterlies dying out, northeasterlies developing. Fine at first on Monday, but a period of showers later in the day with cold southwesterlies freshening briefly. Mostly fine and sunny on Tuesday, with cold southwesterlies dying out. Fine and sunny and moderate northeasterly winds on Wednesday. Mostly fine with high cloud next Thursday, but a cold southwesterly change at night will bring a brief period of showers. And that's your weather update for Friday.
That's CTV News for Friday. Have a wonderful weekend.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.